coach from John Deere in the topic of Agile Addition at Scale in John Deere. Please give a big round of applause to Sanoopkumar.
Good afternoon. How's everybody doing? All good? Yes, sir. They say, afternoon sessions are a bit tough because to keep you engaged, not to put you to sleep. Right? So I'll make it interesting. So today I'm going to share about a big, massive transformation that we did in John Deere. John Deere is a world leader in agricultural, construction and lawn-mowing equipments manufacturing company. So we're going to talk about few things we did right in terms of making agile work, right? And talk about those. You can ask questions, towards the end. I'll cover all the slides. So I've been in John Deere for almost 16 years. I have total 26 years of experience coming from manufacturing, IT, and agile world. And in this role that I'm playing as an agile coach, I have almost 14 Scrum teams reporting to me, and we're going through a massive transformation. Last 3 years of journey, right? And so I've seen both sides of agile, not working agile as well as working agile. So you might have questions in your mind how to really make it work. So I have some tips and solutions you can take away from this session. Okay. So a little bit about John Deere. John Deere has been established in 1837, 185-year-old company based in US, and we are located all across the globe right now. Almost 65 factories in all the continents. Name it, like Brazil, Mexico, China, US, India, all these locations. Even Thailand, we have dealerships located. Right? We have almost 45,000 dealers using or selling and servicing our equipments to the customers, plus 70,000 employees all across the globe working for this company. Okay? And the biggest thing to realize here is it started as a manufacturing company. It was all started as a steel plow. The founder, John Deere himself, invented a plow back in 185 years ago. And that's how we started this company. And then we ventured into making a lot of machines, agricultural farming machines, construction machines. Now we recently acquired road building. So road building activities you can see across many places. And the biggest shift that John Deere has made, you can see that we have been positioned in Fortune 500 consistently. Right now, 84th position in the Fortune 500 list. The biggest shift that we have made in this is moving from a manufacturing to a technology company. Right? This has been a big change for the company because it's very hard. Hardcore manufacturing, making equipment, hard iron, steel machines, and things like that. To move into a digital space or technology shift has been a big cultural shift in this company, and this has been done through Agile. Right? So let's talk about it. So a bit about reflections about, so I'm talking about the IT journey that in this company we have almost about an IT organization which is supporting all the business lines. You could have dealers, factories, parts businesses, and all that supported by the IT organization, which is almost 4,000 employees. Okay. So 3 years back when we were thinking about how are we doing in terms of IT, right? So we talked to the customers of IT, which are factories. I talked about 65 factories across the globe we have. And we have dealers, all the employees. We are also, customers of IT. You all use laptops, internet and stuff like that. So even employees are customers of IT, right? Suppliers. So the biggest realization was they have a lot of demanding needs, right? Systems needs to be available all the time. When you want to work even on the weekend, the system should be available, right? It should be secure. Today, you talk about hackers. Your applications can be vulnerable to hacking, right? Delivering value that can be measured, right? So it's not only about doing agile, just for the sake of doing it, right? Making it right, but have in a way to deliver value for the customer so that it's always sustainable. Then ideate a solution not in years but weeks, right? We were delivering, for example, some of the SAP implementations in the company used to take about 2 years to deliver a big implementation to customers. It was not right. It was not working, right? The customers wanted more speed. Then, at the end of the day, with the IT tools that we provide, the user should be able to do their work faster, better, and smarter, right? And on the IT side, when you look at the journey of IT teams, I talked about 4,000 IT employees working in different applications. We had pockets of Agile 3 years back. I'm talking about a 3 years back scenario, right? So we had pockets of Agile. Some of them were doing right, some of them were struggling and things like that. Then we had only deliver what is in the scope of the projects, right? And multiple handouts. You can think about scenarios like teams working in silos, right? Every part of the work you have to work between multiple teams to get things back to the customers. Then the other big thing is managers directing teams to do the work, right? Dictating the command and control type of leadership. We used to have this. Then heavy portfolio management. So before you do anything to the customers, you have lots of prioritization, lot of people to ask for approvals and things. That's a heavy process. Does any of this sync with any of you? Have you heard about the challenges that I talked about in the previous slide? Seem right? Yeah. So, an org transformation, this is one of the biggest learning that I had as a coach. A transformation does not happen by small changes. It's a big change, right? It involves a lot of pieces of the business. Structural change, we'll have products, project to product, right? So sometimes we talk about defined start and end dates for projects, but product is a different definition altogether. You have to have infinite ways to deliver value, right? Then we have processes, right? The ways of practices and things like that we do. We apply those processes to really do things faster and better. Tech stack. We have to keep investing in our technology stack to modernize. I talked about 185-year company which has a lot of legacy applications. We have mainframes, 40-year-old solutions. To get rid of mainframe and so we are investing in technology modernization to get out of those legacy systems. The mindset, a big tube is this tube, right? Stone at the top has to be right. You can't just say that, okay, ask the teams, go ahead and do Agile. The leadership has to walk the talk, right? That's why tone at the top has to be done right too, right? Along with the mindset. And everything has to be done right with the budget and metrics. You can't go overboard the budget, right? You have to ensure that the investments that you make in this is what are the returns. And you can see, once you go through this change, you come out of it as a completely different changed entity, right? Picture represents that transformation. So we had to change the way we work. On the product side, we had to really come up with a product definition for all the work that we do. So talked about all the different applications that we have. All of them have been changed to a product way of working. So it's a defined Scrum team working on those products to convert those value to the customers. Then I talked about the structure, right? Cutting the layers in the decision-making process. Scrum talks about empowerment, right? Empowerment, the team does the work, knows the best way to decide. So that's how the structure really makes a difference. Prioritization, we have a product management organization that was set up. So this product management organization actually prioritizes the work from the customers, right? And make sure that the IT teams are delivering as per the priority. Then value driven, everything has been done with the value. And on the IT side, we had a lot of insourcing of engineering talent. So build engineering, develop a lot of developers have been brought into the teams with a heavy focus on technology stack development. And cross-functional teams, right? So instead of just siloed way of working, we built all the teams with fully, self-sufficient capabilities. And upskilling, right? So we had a coaching and training organization that is put in, which every teams can leverage to keep on building their skills. And cloud adoption, I talked about the mainframes to cloud. So we have a lot of legacy applications that we are moving to cloud. And then growth mindset, finally. Mindset is a big part of this journey, right? You can't just do, we say doing Agile to being Agile. Being Agile is all about mindset, way of thinking. And it's a massive transformation. All of this you have to change in a company of this scale, right? I talked about 4,000 odd employees and 70,000 employees across the globe as the company. So this is what summarizes our Agile operating model. This was published in 2019. We are still on the journey, 2-3 years in the transformation. We changed the way we work, right? What we work on, which is all digital products defined by value, and then innovation, delivering it through an end-to-end cycle of ownership. We not only build the systems, but also ensuring that the team members take the ownership of supporting and solving the issues of the customers. And the foundation is a learning and growth mindset, continuous investment of digital skills. This talks about the way we coach the teams, right? This pillar talks about 4 mindsets. Each of this can be done by itself, but the combination of it is really what makes the difference. User experience is all about customers, right? Making sure that the apps are performing the best experiences for the users, right? So you need to have a lot of interactions to ensure that, it's all user-based, that you are trying to prioritize the work. Engineering is all about technology, building the right engineering practices, CI/CD, DevOps, Agile methodologies and things like that. And then product management is all about the business side of it, product prioritization, product management. You're trying to, prioritize the work based on value, right? And the center is Agile, right? Then that 4 mindsets have been divided into 10 immersion principles. So one of the things that I believe in is, across the globe, cultures differ, languages differ, colors differ, everything, right? But if you, narrow on certain principles, you can have alignments, right? So these are the 10 immersion principles that we created for coaching all those teams which are globally located. Okay, things like value flows pretty fast through the pipeline. Then amplify the feedback loops, learning organization, delivering value in small increments, customer centricity, then continuous improvement, big invisible. So these are various aspects of the coaching that the teams went through this massive transformation. And then we created something called an IT Foundry. So these are like expert coaches partnering with Scrum Eng, right? So 3 years back we partnered with Scrum Eng directly. We formed an organization called IT Foundry. These are expert coaches, and they engage with each of the business IT teams in a wave format. Okay? So waves are nothing like a dojo, right? So you have teams come and help the teams to go through this agile modernization journey, right? And each of them went through a 10, I think we'll talk about that in the next slide. 20 weeks, prep sessions, immersion sessions, and a sustain. And if you look at this slide here, we have currently 500 teams gone through this transformation. Okay, and each of this is talking about the waves. The first wave was back in 2019, and now we're completing the 11th wave, and all the teams are transformed through this agile modernization methodology. Okay, so massive effort. The big part of this whole activity is, in the first 10 weeks of preparation, the org gets prepared. I talked about the leadership level. So leadership also goes through coaching, right? They have to go through trainings, and they have to go through multiple coaching, activities. They get, feedbacks on their leadership skills. How are they empowering? How are they talking to the teams? And based on that, you have to adapt, right? Then the other thing is, a lot of preparation is done for the product, structure to make sure that the backlog is set up right and things like that. Then there is a 10-week immersion. These are things like one-on-ones, and again, leadership goes through the coaching. So there's lean coffees. You probably have heard of this term, right? Teams come and have interactive sessions with you in terms of what are the challenges they are going through, and how do you help them as a leaders. And sustain and reward, which is what once they exit the wave through this dojo concept, they come to the sustain phase, and I'll talk more about that. So these are the metrics or the value that we are delivering through this transformation. And the most important aspect is measured on outcomes, not output, right? An example to say, right? Let's say an output is, let's say we have to migrate some of the mainframe to cloud, right? That's an output. But why are we doing it? It's about the outcome, right? There could be some, probably some operational cost reductions, maybe some scalability that you're going to improve. Cloud is going to help you make applications faster, secure, right? These are the value, the why behind those efforts. So every one of the products that you saw in the previous screen is measured on OKRs. OKRs stand for objectives and key results. And each of the teams have to define this at the start of the quarter itself, right? So they measure what matters the most to customers, and that's how the OKRs have been defined. right? Then, things like quality, delivery, security, people. So some of this we were doing earlier also, even before the 3 years transformation journey, we were doing it. But the biggest shift that we have seen is the value focus. Initially, it was all about delivering speed, doing it right, making it secure. So all of the IT side of the modernization or the agile transformation. But now, the focus is on value, right? Whatever we do, make sure that it is making an improvement for the customers, right? It's how the success is measured now. So if you look at the right side, 3 years of transformation, we have achieved significant results. The time to market, the speed at which our application is delivering value for customers is almost more than 50% faster. Output, which is double the work in half the velocity, right? It's actually 250% improvement in terms of teams able to do features in sprints, right? And deployment frequency, which is deployment and release are different, right? Deployment is just moving into production server, but release is to the use of the customers. Customers are able to use those features. So there's about that much of difference here. ENPS is nothing but the net promoter score or the employee net promoter score, measures the engagement levels of the team. And ROI, the investment that we put into transformation, is more than 100% returns that we achieved by doing this. Then cloud footprint, as I said, it's a 185-year-old company with a lot of legacy systems. We have more than 50% cloud adoption right now. And 4,000 employees, 500 teams going through this journey. So, yeah, go ahead.
So when you say achieve ROI over 100%, how do you measure?
Yeah, so it's basically we had a 140 billion US dollars put into this entire transformation journey, right? This was approved by the board of directors. So when we measured in terms of the spend and the outcomes given to customers, that's how we measure it, the returns on the investment.
You mean you have a baseline of revenue and you double the revenue?
Oh, not through the company revenue basically. It's basically through the investment and the training and the outputs that we achieve. Right, for example, the value delivery, the speed and the speed and things like that I showed in the previous this slide.
Okay.
Yeah. Because if you look at the teams before this transformation, they were not doing at the speed. Right? So as per going through this transformation, the speed and the quality, everything got improved, right? So it's more than the investment that we put in. So this is another big part of my storytelling today, right? So it's not about one-time transformation that matters. In an organization like this massive size, changes do come in, right? So sustaining change throughout, the life of your working is very, very important, right? Let's understand how do we sustain this in a changing world. So I talked about the 3 phases of your transformation: 70 days, 10 weeks of preparation, 10 weeks of immersion, and then you go into a sustained mode, which is infinite, right? But what happens in sustained mode, right? So I was a customer myself for this Foundry concept. So Foundry had this dojo model. So I and my teams went through this wave. Then I came to the sustain. That's where I realized that this churn, right? Teams do come and go. Product owners, developers, Scrum Masters. We have lots of changes that go through in our day-to-day world. And then some of the business growth might create new teams. So what happens? You lost your foundation of knowledge. Then team stability is always tested. So as a Scrum Master and a coaches and others, you always have a testing ground in front of you because constant change. And what happens when the change happens, right? You have Tuckman model talks about teams go through the storming, norming, performing, right? Norming and performing. And that keeps happening every time there is a change in the team. And then team changes can impact your happiness and velocity, right? So the same amount of stories that the teams, user stories that the team used to produce may not happen when new members come to the team. And then use knowledge and your shuhari. You probably know what is shuhari, right? Shu is the foundation, ha is breaking away from the norms and going to innovation. So all this is always getting tested with the changes that we have in the teams. So we came up with something called mini wave, right? So, oops. So it's an output. It's a mini wave is doing it at scale across all the teams. When we have the teams going through this agile foundry model, they come to the sustain phase. You need something internally built to be able to sustain this kind of an agile foundation. So mini wave was, this is something that we developed as a team from the aftermarket customer support team that I'm part of. So aftermarket customer support is developing solutions for all the John Deere dealers. So I'm managing the IT teams of that. So 3 outcomes it provides, right? One is to be able to provide all the members of the team at the same agile foundation, right? So change management. You have to have a very good change management to be able to sustain agile. Second is, internally within our the VCA is nothing but the IT domain, right? So it could be a factory IT team, could be a dealer IT team, HR IT team. All those are called BCA or business capability area. And once you have these capabilities built within the teams, you can stand on your own feet. You don't need to go through this foundry model to be able to get this coaching again. So sustainability is when your scrum masters and coaches are able to provide the same level of training, right? And it's more of a knowledge sharing. So so when you have this model, you share across all the team, and it's a knowledge sharing across the company. So this is one of the biggest success stories that we have built in John Deere. Almost all those 400 teams are going to be adopting this model to be able to self-survive this journey of transformation. Okay. This one. This is about 6 sprints, 3 months. It's not like day-long trainings. It's about 1.5 hours, 90 minutes of sessions, so that you have some hands-on times too. Right. So the way we did this, we actually had only 1.5 hours meeting every day. In each of those meetings, I'll show you one slide which talks about what did they cover in that training. Right. So this talks about same principles, 4 agile mindsets, 4 mindsets, and the telemetry principles. So foundation is the same. Whatever the dojo concept that the IT foundry has taught, even the domains have now adopted the same principle or the same foundation, right? And then the goal is to get everybody on the same platform, right? New members come in, new roles come in, new scrum masters, new product owners. So everybody has to speak the same language, otherwise this will not survive. And there are 4 outcomes, 4 phases, I would say. Right? The first phase is building the product mindset, right? So it's not about projects anymore, right? So I talked about the project to product shift. Products are, how do you ensure that you know your customer, you are able to understand their priorities, you are able to prioritize through OKRs, then your backlog comes, then you are able to execute the user stories. That's how the connection should be, okay? Then building the 353, which is your events, artifacts, and the roles, right? Making sure everybody is clear about this foundation. And the next sprint is all about flow, building the flow, engineering, right? Engineering practices, DevOps, CI/CD, test automation, those kind of things. Then the final thing is making the value deliveries, smaller, quick loops of feedbacks. You can't take the big features and keep working on it. You need to measure success in faster feedback loops, and that is on the last slides here. So you can see about 4,076 points, which is about 75 hours of work, commitment for this, and 6 sprints with 12% sprint velocity. So that's one way to do it. 353 is 3 roles, 5 artifacts, and 3 events. 5 events and 3 artifacts. Yeah, it's the foundation of Scrum, right? So we did a pilot of this, and as I talked about the aftermarket and customer support IT teams that I'm part of, we had about 40 new members after this wave format that I talked about, right? So wave, the teams went through this wave with IT Foundry, but post which I saw massive change, especially during the pandemic. We had a lot of people getting new offers and competitive offers in the market, and the market has been fully dynamic. So we had 40 new members with no foundation of Agile, right? So they are coming to this mix of fully trained team, but no experience of Agile, right? So we have to keep building on this base again, and that's how I, along with my Scrum Masters, we partnered along and came up with this mini wave idea, put the backlog of training topics, and then we also partnered with some of the engineering managers and tech leads to connect some of the technical practice kind of topics. Then we had almost participants. If you look at across the board here, you can see developers, product managers, Scrum Masters, engineering managers, all of the recipients of the training. And then, the idea was to give a lot of hands-on. So I talked about those 90 minutes of training each day. This 90 minutes was split into, a split of 30. So 30 minutes of concept, 30 minutes of hands-on, 30 minutes of sharing. So this 40 odd participants were divided into 5 Scrum teams, and they were given all these concepts, and they were given hands-on time to practice it, and finally they come back and share with a large room in terms of what did they learn. So very effective way of training. I would say that we got lots of great feedbacks for this. I'll share some of those. And NPS, which is nothing but the net promoter score, was 100% from all those participants. Almost 30 people responded to the feedbacks, and it was pretty awesome. And then we had some innovative ideas like skits, and skits like we were teaching and bad Scrum through skits, right? So the trainers would do a role play and showcase some of the bad patterns. How do you work in a dictative style versus empowering style, right? So they will showcase those concepts in front of the participants, and they will ask questions. What do you learn? Or was it a true Scrum or was it a bad Scrum? That actually helped them to really reinforce some of the foundations. Yeah.
90 minutes every day for 6 weeks?
Yeah. Yeah, so they have their own day jobs, right? This is commitment. You work from the leadership, saying that now you have significant change in your teams. If you don't go through the journey again, you're going to lose all the speed and agility that you learned, right? So it was easy alignment in terms of getting that approval. 90 minutes is not a big commitment, right?
90 minutes consecutive or 90 minutes right now?
90 minutes, once you start, all the way 90 minutes. But 90 minutes is split like this. So it's not a boring session. You only have to listen to the concept for 30 minutes. Then you have put into an hands-on practice.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What is this example of hands-on practice? My understanding is that it already has the informatics, right? But there are a lot of people doing it. So those teams could not sustain and teach them overall
Yeah. So an example I'll tell you, right? So in order to give teams to get the concept of prioritization, right? One exercise that was conducted was planning a vacation trip, right? For example, Milwaukee to, I think there was an example here, Chicago to Milwaukee in US. In US, if you have to plan a vacation, come up with the backlog of activities, and how do you prioritize it, right? What matters the most? That comes to the top. The rest of the things will come in the focus below.
It was not like the actual work or the actual teamwork that they were.
There were some examples of actual work we took it to. For example, if the teams were struggling on technical debt or technical type of work items, we used to bring those examples for the training sessions. But mostly to teach the concepts, you used some of those ideas across the industry. Right?
How many coaches do you have? How many coaches?
Coaches? Only me.
One coach?
One coach and Scrum Masters, 11 Scrum Masters in there. So Scrum Masters were actually teaching. I only did a little bit of it, right? But the Scrum Masters were coming on board, and teaching themselves.
11 Scrum Masters.
Yeah. That's the trainers, by the way. So it's a good commitment, but at the same time, value driven, right? You get a lot out of this, right? Because otherwise you're losing all your gains, right? Whatever you've trained and whatever you've coached the teams, you're always losing the ground. and Agile will go for the tops, right? So it's important to keep building this foundation, otherwise Agile will not work, right? Because there's a lot that you have to work on mindsets of people too. So, yeah, that's what I think we talked about most of it. The other big factor here is 90%, 95% sustainable participation. So these 40 participants, we had almost 95% success. They were not like, six sprints is a long time, right? 3 months. But there could be chances like people will drop off of this discussion. But it never happened. We had almost 95% sustainable participation. So it was highly engaging. Right? Yeah, these are some of the testimonials. You can see, right? Fantastic experience, awesome trainers. These were like first-time trainers from masters, but they came out of their ways and bounds to really teach innovative ways, right? Everywhere, I think, it's all positive. Quality of content, impactful, agile anthem. We used even agile anthems. We used leverages things from YouTube, teach some of the Scrum concepts. Yeah. So this has been adopted by the company now, this entire model of teaching. That's why, we came up with this idea because we had massive change in our team, right? We came up with this idea of something needs to be built to be able to survive the journey of Agile. And this has now been adopted as a company-wide practice. For every teams, we have almost, I think 27 to 30 domains, right? All of them are going to be adopting this journey, the system journey. So these are the results of the outcomes that I could talk about. So 42% change. It is difficult to sustain this level of transformation outcomes. So we have metrics that have been running for last 2 years, right? And all of them are solid green. The only reason this is yellow right now is, so I'll talk about each of this. Time to market is, lead time and cycle time. These are coming from the DORA concept. You probably are aware of the DORA metrics in the DevOps and Agile world, the way you measure your success of software delivery. So lead time is nothing but the speed at which you are delivering to customer value, right? Prioritize backlog. So 140 to 30 days is the overall result of 14 teams that I'm currently managing. Cycle time is the way you are able to do your codes within your sprints. When you prioritize, take it in your sprint, this is the speed at which you are able to make it available to the production server, not release. Release is lead time. Then functions are the releasable value. These are the features and user stories which are available for the users to use, right? Functions. Right now it is little yellow because of the mainframe work that we have. We have heavy mainframe modernization work going on in a couple of teams, because of which you can't measure those as customer value right away. So that's why it is a little lagging. But you can still see 15 to 27 in terms of number of functions going to customers that can use it. Deployments is right, the number of codes that you are able to make it ready in the production server. Not necessarily release, but all the changes that are going to the production server. 14 to 35. Then NPS is on the employee engagement side, which is very, very strong green. 29 to 30, 74 and 40 to 82. So we have team level and org level. Team level measures about, how happy are you working in this team, the Scrum team. Org level is how happy are you working in this organization, right? So we get this feedbacks on almost every sprint. We keep working on it, from key roles. Key roles are nothing but product owners, Scrum master, coaches, engineering managers. They all get together and look at this feedback and see what help we can provide to the teams, right? Yeah. So we have a form, very simple form that talks about how happy are you working for this team, right? Scale of 1 to 10. I saw similar forms being used for feedbacks today in the sessions, right? So like that, we do that in every sprint. Every team does this, and then you get feedback. Even there are comments. So we work on the comments, right? If something that needs immediate action, we put a solution for that. We also have I should talk about this scaling methods, scaling mechanisms, Scrum of Scrums, and action teams. The Scrum is across the product family. So the product teams are part of a product family, and then you have an action team which is at the leadership level. So the concerns go up all the way faster through this. You have transparent boards that are created, impediment boards, in which these concerns do get posted, and then immediately actions are provided. So I myself am running the action team for my area of the business, and we close the loop through immediate communications back to the teams. And that has improved the trust levels very, very high, because it is important, right? Employees need to know that their concerns are being heard. And if at all there is no immediate answers, they need to know that there is a solution being worked upon. So that is why these models are important. The scaling models, Scrum, as well as action teams, where we need to provide quick resolutions for the concern. Then all the teams will be happy to work in the Scrum teams. I'm not saying that everything is hunky-dory or perfectly fine. There are definitely challenges in pockets where we are acting on it quicker. Okay? So in summary, I would probably call this as 4 key takeaways. Right? Agile transformation is not one-time done. It's a continuous journey. We have to keep investing in this. Right? The other thing is metrics and indicators. You need to have indicators that talk about the speed, the quality, the security, right? How fast are we delivering? How much is our throughput? Those indicators, not for the sake of having numbers. The numbers tell a story, right? If your pattern of releases is probably going in the opposite direction of where you expect it to be, it's indicating something, right? Are you prioritizing faster? Does your team actually put in this priority story into the sprint? Like those are the questions you need to be asking, right? Your ENPS is going down. There's probably a reason why it is going down, right? So those are the reasons why you need to have these indicators or metrics so that you can act on it quickly. This is the other big thing, right? So the most important part of sustaining Agile is, I would say, is your Scrum Masters and coaches, right, need to be trainers. They should be equally capable in terms of training the teams, right? Because they are the ones seeing the ground reality every day. They need to be able to ensure that they are fully up to speed in terms of training capabilities. And Agile works best with stable teams, right? If the teams keep on changing, it's very difficult to sustain Agile. So, invest in that. Then the other thing is, ensuring that the trainers are able to coach across the board, right? Product coaching, process coaching, technical areas, and mindset, behaviors, right? So those are very important because all this put together. You saw the triangle with the 4 mindsets. That's very, very important to sustain the Agile transformation. So with that, that's my last slide, and for a Q&A.
Okay, thank you, Sanoop, for sharing about this.
Yes.
Thank you very much for your presentation. It's very thoughtful. But I'd like to ask the questions. And I want to apologize first if it's too direct. According to your presentations, the team need to face 4 stages, right? Forming, storming. But in the second stage on storming, it's going to be very hard.
Yeah.
So, is there any negative effect, like how many people quit from the company, from the transformations? Because I believe that it's going to be 2 sides, right? Positive and negative. Yeah, I'd like to ask for this kind of information, if you can share.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure, please. Yeah, I think that's a very good question. So, I think if you really ask the people quitting through this transformation, I would probably attribute that as a reason of transformation again, because if you look at the attrition data for IT organization last 2 years, right, we almost stand around, I think it's about 15% right now, 15, okay, and that's still better compared to industry. Industry is about 27%, and the reasons why people are leaving, one of the biggest reasons is money. Everybody likes more money, right? So, Because when the pandemic was going through, right, we were going through the pandemic, I mean, there were a lot of companies hiring. Digital skills was high in demand. So people used to get left and right offers. And one of the reasons people leaving was compensation, right? The other ones were, things like, where they can work, remotely. We consciously made a decision for people to come back to the office. Not 100%, but based on team agreements. Scrum teams make agreements in terms of what days of the week or what weeks of the month they want to work in the office. That's how that was put in place, right? So the reason why some of the people quit was they wanted to work in their hometowns. They don't want to come back to the office location. So we have office in Pune and Bangalore in India. So that's one second reason that people were quitting. So what I'm trying to say is the reason of the attrition data, if you analyze, you don't see anybody who was leaving the company because of the transformation, right? One of the biggest things that I've learned in my interaction with the employees is they love the culture of the company, right? Because there's a lot of listening that happens. It's an employee-driven culture, right? You don't dictate things to the teams, because this feedback mechanism allows them to transparently share what they are going through, right? And the leadership and everybody involved quickly jumps on to address those issues, right? So that's what I would say. We didn't see massive people going because of this transformation, right? In other words, the motivations and the feelings that you saw, the NPS scores, right, the 70s and 80s, those are continuous feedbacks through every sprint. So you're getting this feedbacks quicker. You're not waiting for like 6 months of, asking for the feedbacks. You are getting this feedback every sprint, and you are able to act on it quicker. So trust building happens quite faster. Well, once you know that your concerns are being heard and you're getting solutions quicker, you will be bound to ask again, right? The only reason you're not going to ask second time is first time you asked, nobody heard it, nobody said anything back to you. But people know that once you ask it, you get something back. So that's another part of the culture, I would say.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Very good question.
I have one question.
Yeah.
So as an Agile coach, what do you foresee the next challenge would be for you after the sustainment of this Agile transformation is replaced?
Yeah. I've never thought about it. So I think, when I'm thinking about this journey, right, I think my worry right now is the change is so constant these days. Some of my Scrum Masters are also moving on to the new roles. They're getting promoted. They get picked up because they are trained so well in this methodology, right? And they are becoming the cream of the people that they go through selection process of other domains and things like that. We are not losing them outside. We're losing them to other domains. And then when the leadership positions come in. So when I lose the Scrum Masters who are trained now, I need to build them again, right? So that is the worry that I have now. If I have to build this entire talent pool once again, this is going to be, I have to repeat it again, right? The other part of the question is measuring value, right? So we talked about Scrum teams taking the backlog, what matters the most to the customers. Now, even when you are delivering value, how do you make sure that you're doing it faster? So high value, faster delivery. Those are the two things I'm trying to assess. How do I do that? Right? You can do faster delivery, but how do you measure that this is high value work? Right? Otherwise, it's a pipeline, quickly delivers, back to the customers. But how do you know it is a really valuable work? You can do 10 things, but how do you always do the highest value first? That's the other part that I'm looking at. Good question again. Yeah. Stability, yeah. I think I've been part of some of the discussions with some of the salary, IT industry benchmarking companies, Aon, for example, right? One of the reasons why they have understood from the industry, attrition is, people leave organization because, because of the culture sometimes, right? Money is one of the biggest factors, but more than money, if you don't see that you're belonging, you'll not be happy, right? So if you create a culture of belongingness, right? We have a heavy focus right now on diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, right? People come from various backgrounds. You can have. That's what I said. Different skin color, different languages speak, the way you look, everything is different. But if you create a sense of belonging, teams, stay there, right? And even a case of an employee, a female employee from my team was almost quitting for want of money, right? She was also like, well, industry is paying better than what you have right now. But through discussions, she believed that more than money, it's the culture that matters. So through all the interactions that we used to have with our peer teams and engagement activities, and, open forums and things like that, she finally believed that it is the culture that is more than money that matters to me. So I think invest in that, building the culture part, right? Making sure that you have feedback loops and other things set up so that you're able to respond to people's concerns, right? And I think in my experience, building trust is very important. Trust is foundation to everything. Even before you do Agile, you need to have trust in the system, right? And that's what I would probably leave you with in terms of sustainability. Even building stable teams from that perspective, right? So the teams that I built, the Scrum Masters, I had almost lost 5 Scrum Masters. I think 5 Scrum Masters moved on, but I brought in new 5 Scrum Masters. Now they are the ones who actually went through this training, the new ones. So the model, the way, because it's a culture itself is that is the foundation to everything. We went through an employee survey recently, and my score is about 98. Employee engagement, employee experience score, right? That talks about the culture. Great questions, by the way. I really enjoyed all the questions.
Okay, thank you. I think our time is up. If you guys have any more questions, I think you guys can discuss with.
Yeah, I'm available outside also if you want to connect.